Hey everyone, it's Abby. What I wanted to do is I wanted to share a story that I'm writing about my dad. As some of you know, my dad passed away 10 years ago in the LifeFlight helicopter accident here in Utah. Um, I have been writing a story about him ever since that happened, which I was 17 years old. And I am going to get this story published, but I did want to give you a sneak peek of what to expect. Some of you have already read about it on Facebook. It has changed a little bit just because of, some people I still have to get permission for to put their name in the story. But I'm going to go on ahead and just read some of this to you. And hopefully, as I get more information in my book, hopefully I can have more videos. But this is just the part one, so I'm just going to give you guys a sneak peek of the story. Alright, on December 16th, 2012, I asked my 15-year-old brother Andrew and 13-year-old sister Alexis what they remembered about my dad. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them to say one single memory. So this book is dedicated to them. They're my babies. They're my life. They will always and forever be. I'm so proud of my siblings. I want them to remember my dad for everything he was and how proud he would be of them for their achievements and their loving hearts. Love all of you. Ever since I was 17 years old, I've wanted to write a book about my dad. I would collect articles and research online and do everything I could to tell everyone about who he was. I would start writing a few pages and then stop writing and then start over a few years later. 6 years later, I'm starting again, but hopefully this time I'll be able to finish. My dad, Mario Wyatt Guerrero, was born on May 5th, 1965 to Margaret and Ignacio Nash Guerrero in Santa Maria, California. He worked as a firefighter ever since I was born and later became a paramedic. Grandma Margaret Guerrero told me that Dad knew he wanted to be a firefighter ever since she could remember. She quoted, "He knew he was in a dangerous job and he accepted that. He told me if I die, I'll die happy doing what I wanted to do." Grandma also said that he used to watch a program called Emergency from the 1970s. She said, one day he came home from school and said, "Mom, I'm going to be a firefighter." Coy Porter, who was the Provo Fire and Rescue Chief, said he had firefighting in his blood. My Uncle Matt said he loved that job. Everybody thought he was a little bit crazy for getting in the helicopter. There is no question that night he died doing what he loved. The LifeFlight helicopter is what took his life. We lived in California until I was about 8 years old. After graduating from St. Joseph High School in 1983, my dad attended Hancock's Fire Academy. He joined the Santa Maria Fire Department as a reserve firefighter. The only person I remember from the station was Sonny. I also remember the bright orange cone-shaped flag that welcomed you to the station. My dad wanted to be a firefighter full-time, so he landed a job with the Camp Roberts Fire Department, where he also served as a volunteer firefighter. Dad was very driven and motivated. We talked about college, and I remember sitting at the computer desk and Dad saying, "That is, if you want to go to college." I told him of course, and he replied, "Just making sure." In 2004, I graduated high school at Pleasant Grove High School, and a few months later, when I was 18, I got accepted into Biola University in La Mirada, California. I knew my dad would be so happy for me. I went to Biola for almost a month, and because of issues with my loans, I ended up coming home. It took me almost 3 years before I went back to school again, but I got my associates in a year and a half, and in August 2012, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing. My mom has since received her master's degree, and my sister Amanda received her bachelor's in April 2013. I want my little brother and sister to see the importance of college and how much Dad wanted us to go. I'm going to help grow my little brother and sister's college fund and help pay off my mom, sisters, and my current student loans. After 7 years in northern San Luis Obispo County, a visit to my mom's relatives in Utah ended up with Dad getting hired by the Provo Fire Department as a firefighter. My dad worked for Provo Fire Department as a firefighter, and all of the holidays were spent at different stations. Christmas parties and Easter parties were the most popular Home videos show Christmas parties of sitting on Santa's lap and having brown paper bags full of peanuts and candy. There were so many sweets to choose from, and everyone was talking over one another. I remember one Christmas party where my dad asked a couple about their baby girl when it was really a baby boy. He laughed. Mario loved the holidays. I remember how we used to try and guess what the presents were under the tree. We were bad kids. Sorry, Mom. Sister Sam, who got in on them later, actually would help us tape them back up. LOL. Just terrible kids, said my Uncle Vernon. With Easter came the Easter egg hunts at the Provo Fire Department, where the kids were divided into age groups. Dad later became a paramedic and eventually pursued becoming a LifeFlight paramedic. Living in Utah was good. There were 2 more kids added to the family, Andrew and Alexis, and my parents bought a house in Pleasant Grove. I remember always watching movies with my dad. My sister Amanda and I used to watch movies with him such as Selena, Top Gun, and La Bamba. I still remember his reaction when we stole his Whoppers. He also loved Twinkies, Ding Dongs, and red licorice. Those were his favorite. I didn't watch a lot of movies with him. Being a teenager, I wanted to do my own thing and hang out with friends. I wish I would have spent more time with him and wondered to this day what life would be like with him here. In Utah, my dad started his famous barbecue business, the Barbecue Bandit. Dad imported Santa Maria-style barbecue to Utah, acquiring a small business selling tri-tip sandwiches that earned a Sandwich of the Year award. He was real proud of it, said Margaret Guerrero, his mom. It was a yearly routine for my dad to cook his famous barbecue at the international burn camps. Na na ma. He would cook for families and children on the last day of camp. After he passed away, Chuck Shepard and other members of Guerrero's crew, the men with whom he worked his 24-hour shifts for the Provo Fire Department, also have continued a tradition that their fallen brother began 4 years ago. After his passing, his crew cooked the meal, now named the Mario Guerrero Memorial Burn Camp Barbecue, but didn't try to cook tri-tip, Guerrero's specialty, because Brent too said we didn't feel good about it, so we made hamburgers. He's the fire captain of the crew. Debbie Honeycutt Shepard said, Abby, I've thought of your dad a lot lately, and I wish he was around to teach me his tricks for tri-tip. He knew how to barbecue. To put food on the table, my dad worked 3 jobs. When you're 17 years old, you don't realize how much work and time that is. He worked at Lone Peak Fire Department, but unfortunately I never met anyone while he worked there. He took the job at LifeFlight just a few years before his death. The LifeFlight helicopter is the medical helicopter, and he worked as the firefighter and paramedic once a week. On January 10th, 2003, my life changed forever. I remember that day as if it were yesterday. My sister, her friend, and I drove to Blockbuster to rent a movie for the night. My sister Amanda is a few years younger than I am, and this Friday night was spent with her. As we got home, I opened the door and saw my mom in the kitchen frantically looking up numbers in the phone book. She had the phone leaned up against her shoulder, and her fingers were going from page to page. I asked her what was wrong, and she wouldn't tell me. After she calmed down, she told me that a LifeFlight helicopter had crashed. I knew my dad was working that night, but I knew he wasn't dead. My dad was brave to me. Every time we got hurt, he would say, "Oh, goo goo gaga." He saw worse things on a daily basis. He saw people sick, people hurt, and people dead. To me, my dad could never die. To me, he was Superman.